Clash of Champions. Aptly named, like Jinder said in his promo a week or two ago, it was an entertaining show. And why do we watch pro wrestling shows? To be entertained. This Blue Brand exclusive pay-per-view didn't do anything amazing, but it could have been a lot less eventful than it was. So without further ado, let's look at this gimmick. I actually watched a pre-show match. Not the whole thing, just the match. Mojo vs. Zack. And it was an aggressive match. Both men were full of energy and it was just fine. As predicted, Mojo went over, and odds are he'll be the one getting featured more on TV, and Zack will be put on the back burner again, just like he always is, until they feel the need to randomly pair him up with someone again. Someone's gotta make the other talent look good, I suppose, and why not the guy that you've had in that position for the better part of a decade?
What?
Dolph Ziggler won a match! And not only did he win a match, but he won a fucking title! What year are we in? Did someone send us back like 5 years to when Ziggler actually had relevance? Oh, and the match itself was pretty awesome, I'll say, and Corbin was pissed when he was interviewed shortly after the match. It was entertaining wrestling! What more can one say? What more can one ask for? Bobby certainly wasn't going to win it because it's still too early for that, and I think that the last thing we want is to turn on Rude. It was fun stuff and a great first match to set the tone for the rest of the card. So props to all men involved for that match. Two badass matches in a row! The Fatal 4-Way Tag Team title match definitely delivered the excitement, and it had me legitimately believing that the Usos could lose the titles. And how over are English and Rusev? They got a massive pops when English was singing the 12 Days of Rusev, and they sure had me grinning like an idiot. One would think that maybe the match wouldn't deliver due to the amount of people in it, and I wouldn't blame you for thinking so, but they made it work because they're all that damned good. This match definitely raised the stock of the Blue Brand's tag division, and I wouldn't mind a nice slow cook towards a delicious helping of English and Rusev tag team pie. Don't read too much into that last line.
What?
Charlotte got her athletic ass beaten with all the time she got thrown out of the ring in that Lumberjill match. And it is supposed to be called a Lumberjill match because last I checked, those were women out there. What? Because superstar is a gender neutral term in the WWE world now, it means we've gotta change other traditional terms too? But anyway, the match itself was fine, but after the two very lively matches that came before it, it was understandable to see that the crowd wasn't as alive for it as it was for those two, because neither was I. It was fine. Carmella tried to sneak in the cashing in of her briefcase, and that would have been a nice little plot twist, but I'm glad that the trigger wasn't pulled just for the hell of it. I wonder what the plan is for Carmella, however, if there even is one, and now we wait and see what's next for our Blue Women's Champion. Cause to be honest, I'm glad that this whole Natalya and Charlotte feud is finally over. And here I thought that Breezango would at least get some offense in order to make the Bludgeon Brothers' victory look even more dominant, but it was another complete squash match instead, in which Breezango didn't get to do anything. So it could have been a bit better in that regard, but it was fine, and they cut a nonsensical gloom and doom promo post-match, Wyatt family style. And that's all I can say about that. The best of this duel is still to come, I hope.
What?
What's insane was dull during the first 3 quarters of the whole thing. It was a bit puzzling, as the commentary team kept on kindly reminding us, because the whole gimmick with Shane and Daniel being the two officials in the match was the puzzling factor. They never explained how the match would be any different, if Shane's decisions would be able to overrule Daniel's, for example, so we ended up getting both men taking turns enforcing the rules of the match. Which reminds me, at one point in the match, all the competitors stayed outside at ringside for quite the chunk of time, and I kept on thinking, are they ever gonna start counting these men out? And they just never did, so I guess they broke the rules of what I believe was a standard tag team match, because fuck that rule. And Daniel also didn't disqualify Owens when he was pushed by him into Shane, so it was all head scratching most of the time. But at least things got real interesting in the last few moments of the match, because Shane deliberately stopped counting Sami's pin and that riled up everyone in the match, and Daniel Bryan ended up giving Sami a fast count victory as a big fuck you to Shane for not being the impartial guy that Daniel believed he was going to be. So Shane basically turned heel on the heels, causing Daniel, Sami, and Owens to turn faces because we saw Shane abuse his power, and Bryan got a massive pop for it, so Shane's the dick now, and he can eat one too! And then came the match for the WWE title between AJ and Jinder, and it was fine. I mean, really, after the US title match and the 2 tag matches, it was gonna be hard to get the crowd as hyped for this match as they were for those. They put on a solid performance, and AJ thankfully retained. Not that I believed he was gonna lose the title to begin with, but I don't think this is the match that will be best remembered on this show, even though it was for the WWE title. So take that as you will. And that was the Clash of Champions show, and overall, I think that it was a solid enough show. And here are 20 by 20's top 3 matches of the night. Number 1, the Tag Team Fatal 4-Way match for the tag titles. Number 2, the US title match. And number 3, Sami and Owens versus Orton and Nakamura due to the shenanigans that took place during the match. Do you agree with this list? What do you think of the show? Leave a comment to let 20 by 20 know, and subscribe for more weekly content. But until then, this was the Clash of Champions edition of 20 by 20, and I hope to catch your ass here for this week's episodes for Raw and SmackDown. And if you enjoy 20 by 20's content, consider supporting the channel on Patreon at www.patreon.com/20by20. Anything you decide to give is greatly appreciated.